We're now reviewing Learning Target 1.3. I can explain the conclusions drawn from Rutherford's experiment. So Ernest Rutherford was a scientist, and he decided that he was going to set up a experiment that could help him try to figure out what was inside the atom. So what he did is he was shooting some alpha particles out of a lead box, and he was directing the alpha particles towards some gold foil. So you can see that right here. So these alpha particles are leaving this box, going towards this gold foil. Okay? What he hypothesized was that these alpha particles are going to go straight through the gold foil, and that they're going to see flashes of light behind the gold foil, because he thought that the gold atoms in the gold foil were mostly empty, and that these particles would be able to go straight through the gold and just hit the back, because these particles are so tiny they would actually be able to just sneak right through the empty space that the gold foil made up. However, when he conducted the experiment, he found that most of the particles did go straight through and hit the back. So most of them are maybe a slight deflection, but most of them are going straight through and lighting up the back of the screen. And he was seeing flashes of light right here. However, some of these particles would hit the gold foil and come back. So here's one right here. Here's one that deflects this way. Here's one that deflects over here. And he was seeing that about 1 in about 8,000 of these particles that he shot would deflect back towards him. Okay? So this told him two things. Since he saw so many particles back here, he knew that the atom was mostly empty space. Mostly. Okay? But however, he saw that there were some that hit. And because he saw that some hit, he knew that there is a solid core to an atom. You guys probably know what this core is, hopefully. It's the nucleus. And he knows this because he saw some particles coming back. Okay? How in the world could they come back and hit the screen unless they were running into something that was solid and in the atom? So solid core. Okay? So the two things, mostly empty space, that's number one, and a solid core, that was number two. Those were the two things that he found. Okay, so now I'd like you to work on the individual example for this learning target. So the question is asking you to, in 3 to 4 complete sentences, describe what he observed and the two conclusions about the atom that he made from the results. So pause the video now and play when you want to check your answer. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to write your 3 to 4 complete sentences, and you can check them with mine. So mine says, Rutherford observed most of the alpha particles going straight through the gold foil, but some of the alpha particles bouncing back. From these observations, he made two conclusions. The first conclusion he made was that the gold atoms are mostly empty space, since most of the alpha particles went straight through. The second conclusion he made was that the gold atoms contained a solid core or nucleus, since some of the alpha particles bounced back. So the important things to realize here were the two conclusions. The first was that the atoms were mostly empty space. Okay, and good. Again, he knew this because most of the alpha particles went straight through. The second conclusion was that they contained a solid core or nucleus, and this is because some of them bounced back. So there's number one, and there's number two, and that's the important thing to realize from this experiment.